Today we're getting into the origin of every single Godzilla because there's so freaking many and all their origins are insanely different and special because life's just beautiful like that. Leave a like on the video down below, subscribe to MindQ for being a genius, and let's get into it. All right, so let's get into it. Ooh, what an exciting way to start the video. A Godzilla roar? I'm into it. I kind of just blew my tits off.
We will showcase to you all the times Godzilla had a different origin story. So we all know Godzilla as one of the most iconic and most durable fictional creatures to ever be created for the big screen.
Is he the most durable creature for the big screen, or does Toho just have a rule where he can't die anymore? Where's the line here?
And with his 30+ films, he usually comes out from the ocean and terrorizes humanity, and also the other kaiju as well. Godzilla is depicted as an enormous, destructive, prehistoric sea monster awakened and empowered by nuclear radiation. With the nuclear bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the Lucky Dragon 5 incident still fresh in the Japanese consciousness, Godzilla was conceived as a metaphor for nuclear weapons. But this isn't always the case. There are other origin stories that differ vastly from the original, and here in this video we shall explore all the 7 origin stories.
I'm so concerned he's being pushed back to just like a metaphor for nuclear whatever, because now the new Toho rules are he can't target like people or creatures. He basically just, I don't know, I'm worried about it. Worried about the franchise.
The irradiated sea reptile. In the original 1954 Godzilla film, it is firstly proposed that Godzilla was a type of prehistoric intermediary reptile related to both land and sea reptiles that slept under the water for millions of years, feeding on deep-sea organisms before being disturbed and enhanced by an American hydrogen bomb test. He would have been a very large creature to start with, and the enhancement made him into the nearly indestructible kaiju that was only killed by a new superweapon called the Oxygen Destroyer. Any organism exposed to the chemical will first suffocate from the lack of oxygen and then disintegrate, the same thing that happened to Godzilla in the movie.
Not gonna lie, bro, I feel like I might be able to tank that. I feel like I could maybe survive it. I don't know.
Number 2, the irradiated Godzillasaurus. In this next origin story, the first after a very long time, Godzilla was given a little bit of change in how he came to be. He wasn't a deep-sea reptile but a modern-day dinosaur still living in an island.
Looks like Shin Godzilla. The one on the left looks so much like Shin Godzilla.
So in the movie, it started in 1992 when a science fiction writer named Kenichiro Terasawa was writing a book about Godzilla and then learns of a group of Japanese soldiers that when they were stationed on Lagos Island during the Gilbert and Marshall Islands campaign during the World War II in February 1944, while threatened by the American soldiers and they were almost overrun by the US military, the Japanese soldiers were saved by a mysterious dinosaur called Godzillasaurus. He theorizes that the dinosaur was subsequently mutated into Godzilla in 1954 after a hydrogen bomb test on the island.
Such a cool looking creature.
A wealthy businessman who commanded the Japanese soldiers on Lagos Island confirms that the dinosaur did indeed exist. Number 3, the irradiated iguana.
I love this one. It's the most hated one, but I love it so much, dude.
In this next origin story, we go over the ocean into the United States. Also known as the American Godzilla or TriStar Godzilla, this design by Cat Luigi is that of a hunched, bent-over marine iguana.
The guy who designed this was named Luigi? Well, that explains everything right there.
But had the stance of dinosaurs, specifically the T-Rex and other large, two-legged carnivorous theropods. The TriStar Godzilla is a 60-meter tall creature that is a mutation of a sea iguana caused by nuclear radiation.
See, this is why I don't blame Toho for their rules now where Godzilla can't be killed. You kind of have to have those rules because America did this, which was like the most upsetting Godzilla death ever. So I get the rules to an extent. I'm just saying.
It was originally a marine iguana egg irradiated by French nuclear tests in French Polynesia. It makes its presence known years later when it attacks 3 fishing boats in the ocean. The radiation in his body led to a slow evolution into the lizard-like creature seen running loose in New York City during the events of the film. The transformation occurred over a 30-year period, and this Godzilla relies on his speed and animalistic cunning to evade attackers and ambush them rather than fight them head-on like the classic Godzillas. Number 4, World War II spirits. In the movie Godzilla, Mothra and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack, or GMK, the Godzilla that came out stands out as a truly evil supernatural entity. Back then, Japan suffered an attack from Godzilla, and the monster laid waste to Tokyo, transforming of the once proud capital of Japan into ground zero of a nuclear disaster overnight.
This might be my favorite, like, origin story, just because, you know, like, the souls of all the people tortured by Japan during World War II. Because Japan, if you look into it, did some horrible stuff. Like, some horrible stuff.
Godzilla was killed with an experimental chemical weapon, while the weapon's inventor took his own life to ensure that this weapon could never be used again.
Also, I'm not saying Japan's like bad guys. Obviously, America did some pretty horrible stuff too. We dropped nukes. Germany, Russia, everyone was kind of stinkers during that era.
But over the next several decades, humanity gradually began to forget about Godzilla, with many assuming that the creature never existed and was simply a legend. In the film, Godzilla was indeed killed by the oxygen destroyer in 1954. But his body wasn't destroyed. It became possessed by the souls of the people who died in the Pacific Ocean during World War II. In this movie, Ghidorah was actually the good guy. Can you believe it? Number 5. The Titan Super Species.
The story's so confusing because it's like this Godzilla in the Monsterverse was way smaller until they nuked it in the TV show, and then it got much bigger, but now in the lore it defeated Scar King way before all this stuff happened, so it's very confusing.
In Legendary's take on the G-Man, he was a very ancient life form, a Titan super species that was on the planet for hundreds of millions of years ago. But wasn't something like the earlier origin stories where an ancient life form was mutated by nuclear weapons. He was initially thought to be a threat, and now we understand his potential to become the world's ultimate guardian, a towering apex predator emerging from the mysterious depths of the ocean to battle aggressors that threaten the balance of nature. Millions of years ago, as the planet cooled down and its natural atmospheric radiation began to decrease after the Permian-Triassic extinction event, he adapted to survive various other extinction events by diving deep into the ocean and consuming the planet's natural geothermal radiation in a hibernation-like state from its molten core until 1945, when the atomic bombing of Hiroshima woke him up, along with a fearsome Shinomura, another Titan, which was also an enemy he previously fought in the past during the Permian period.
What he just mentioned, Shinomura, it's a shame we haven't gotten that in movies yet, and they keep changing the story. Who knows how much longer it'll be canon in the comics and stuff. But Shinomura is one of the most insane, special, like, weirdest kaiju ever.
Number 6. A hyper-evolving sea creature.
Oh.
In the new 2016 Shin Godzilla movie, the origins of the G-Man shifted from reptile to an unknown creature which many believe to be some sort of ancient frilled shark. Here Godzilla is not born out of the dropping of a nuclear bomb, but rather out of nuclear waste dumped in the sea. Godzilla, like most monsters if not all, is a monster that humans make directly, or maybe indirectly. We learn it was created when a marine animal consumes nuclear waste dumped by the United States in the sea.
Okay, that's kind of silly because Japan, I thought it was from like Fukushima for some reason, where Japan had that radio, like the freaking power plant. Was it destroyed in a hurricane? I think it was destroyed in a hurricane. I'm not sure, but just like infinite amounts of radiation pouring into the ocean. Of course, it was America.
Once again, nuclear waste and victims lie at the origin story of Godzilla. These marine animals were ancient life forms that continue to exist till the present day, and this origin was similar to that of Destroyer, in which ancient sea life forms were exposed to the oxygen destroyer weapon and hence mutated them, but it was nuclear waste for Shin. He then went on to evolve 4 times and actually 8 times to become a god in the memo and earlier official plans. Number 7. Mutated plant species.
Weird.
This is by far the weirdest and the most deviant of all the origin stories of the G-Man.
We said weird together. That's crazy. That's like we kissed.
He is the largest on-screen incarnation of the character to date, standing at more than 300 meters or more than 1,000 feet tall. This incarnation of Godzilla first appeared in the year 2030, at which point mankind had already endured over a quarter of a century of repeated attacks from huge creatures called kaiju. Godzilla then established himself as the most powerful kaiju, eliminating everything else including humans. This incarnation of Godzilla is unique in that he originated from plant life rather than animal life. He is said to be the end result of natural selection on Earth. Godzilla evolved as a result of his plant life, incorporating the characteristics of various other organisms through a process of horizontal gene transfer, granting him extreme durability, heat resistance, stealthiness, regenerative abilities, and other attack powers like the atomic breath. So now that we come to the end of the video, do tell us what you think about the different origin stories. Was the irradiated Godzillasaurus actually the same animal as the deep-sea reptile of the original storyline? Also, what do you think about the origins of Shin Godzilla and whether his beginnings are really similar to that of Destroyer? And yes, what about the strange Godzilla Earth's origins? He was actually a plant and not an animal, nevertheless a reptile.
A planimal.
Anyway, do hit that like, subscribe and bell button for regular updates.
I guess if I had to pick a favorite, it'd be the Monsterverse, because it's just a cool concept. A giant, mega ancient species that rises up every couple of million years to like establish dominance and bring peace to the planet, and to just put down all these other massive monsters that want to also rule. I also love the Monsterverse one the most because it has the most evolutions. It just keeps evolving, getting crazier and crazier and crazier, whereas most Godzillas are just like stuck in their ways. I think that's the way to handle Godzilla. At least my favorite way is, instead of a bunch of individual movies where he's just slightly different each time, just have a franchise grown where he evolves every movie over the course of a decade. That's pretty sexy. So yeah, Monsterverse is definitely my favorite origin for Godzilla, but let me know what you guys think down below. Leave a like, subscribe to this awesome channel, and I'll see you next time.